right now on I-77 at Remount Road. Very few cars out tonight, and they are taking it slowly. That is wise because the ground is covered. The roads are getting slippery. Good evening. I'm Tanya Bendixson. Molly is on assignment tonight, and weather is always first at 10. Chief Meteorologist Eric Thomas has some of those snow totals for us. Eric?
Matter of fact, we do, Tanya. Let's bring up to speed, first of all, on our live WeatherNet data, though. We'll start off at Providence Day School, and Tanya mentioned the slick roads. Even though you didn't see a lot of snow on those big roads out there, there is some snow showing up on the secondary roads, and certainly we're going to see some freezing conditions already. 28 at Providence Day School. UNCC, the story for them, same. Snow out there, 35 degrees, 29 here at South Davidson Street Metro School. And, of course, the ski slopes, oddly enough, picking up the least snow out of this storm, 22. Of course, we told you about that. But let's look at the areas now that are still under warnings with, again, an average of about 2 to 3 inches of snow across the northern end of this warning and much more as you go to the south. The winter weather advisory just north of Charlotte, then I-40 corridor, and still no advisory showing up across the mountains as this storm expected to still continue to move off to the east. Where's the snow now? The heaviest belt is down along the I-95 corridor. We've seen some let up in the snow back across the Piedmont, but there's still another band. Could be good for another ½ inch to an inch of snow during the overnight hours. So here are the storm totals that Tanya had referenced, basically from about, say, Lincolnton, Maiden to the north, about 1 to 2 inches. But you come from about Lake Norman down through Mecklenburg, and you start heading from that 2 to 4 inch range into the upstate of South Carolina. You head down to Columbia, South Carolina. How about 6 inches of snow in central South Carolina? Amazing, Tanya. The storm really standing everything on its head as we thought. Okay, back to you. We'll talk more about how long this is going to last in the rest of your 7-day weather alert forecast.
Yeah, quite a surprise out there. We do have team coverage of the storm tonight. Tom Rousey is watching road conditions here in Charlotte, but this rare system is dumping even more snow in South Carolina, as Eric just mentioned, and that is where we find WBTV's Brigida Mack. Brigida, what are you seeing there in Rock Hill? Looks slushy.
It absolutely is, Tanya. It has been coming down steadily since we first got here. Take a look at how much is accumulated right down here. Very powdery this snow is, but good news for roads like Cherry Road. You can see, even though it's slushy, still pretty clear. That's because South Carolina DOT crews have been working all day to treat area roads, and it's a good thing they did. Take a look. They started this morning treating major roadways like I-77, Cherry Road, highways 160, 161, Highway 5, all major roads here in the Rock Hill, Fort Mill area of South Carolina. But I got to tell you, folks also turning into a lot of crowds at area grocery stores because they wanted to make sure they were stocked up. We talked to one lady who braved the crowds.
The bread aisle was full, and where the eggs were was full, and of course where the cashiers, but I managed and I'm out now.
And as she was heading out, along with so many other drivers, they had to brave the roadways as they were going home. Of course, I was telling you about Cherry Road and how it looks pretty good. Not so much the case for secondary roads, neighborhood roads, because obviously South Carolina DOT crews have not gotten to those areas yet, so they are urging people to stay off the roadways. South Carolina Highway Patrol working wreck after wreck after wreck tonight because folks are out on the roadway. So again, if you don't have to be out like we are, bringing you the latest road conditions, they really want you to stay home. We're live along Cherry Road here in Rock Hill. I'm Brigida Mag, WBTV, on your side.
All right, Brigida, and she was talking about those wrecks. Take a look at this video just in of a 3-vehicle accident on Hoskins Road in northwest Charlotte. Medic here in Charlotte says it's responded to nearly 50 crashes since the snow started this afternoon. They usually respond to about 23 accidents in an entire 24-hour period. And Tom Rousey is live now in West Charlotte. Tom, tell us about conditions there.
Well, I want to show you a couple different roads, show you a couple different conditions here. We got Moorhead Street in West Charlotte behind me. Traffic's been moving pretty much at a steady pace here. You can see there is some slush on the road, but doesn't appear to be too frozen at this point. In fact, I tested it out on the way over here. It seemed to be doing okay. But then you go on less major roads like Cedar Street over here, and you see that there is some more slush on roads like these, and things do get a little icier. And I can tell you, I took our Toyota Prius out for a little spin earlier, kind of testing the roads. Definitely the less well-traveled a road, the more icy it is, and this is definitely one of those southern snows where you get that real kind of, not the fluffy stuff they get up north, but the real wet snow. So the problem with that is when it gets on a roadway for too long, it does turn icy. So conditions in Charlotte right now certainly could be a lot worse than they are. They're not that terrible, but the less well-traveled the road, the worse the situation is. We were out driving earlier tonight, and even on the interstates, got a little hairy at times. We made a trip from Cornelius down here to West Charlotte tonight, and pretty much moved well, but there were times where you could just kind of feel it under the tires just a little bit. So as Brigida said, certainly a night where if you don't have to be out, there's really no reason to be out. Live in West Charlotte, I'm Tom Rousey, WBTV, on your side.
All right, Tom, thanks. And before arriving in the Carolinas, this storm made its mark across the south. Look at that. Dallas is digging out and cleaning up after its biggest snowstorm in history. More than a foot of snow fell at local airports. In Atlanta, between 2 and 3 inches caused 1,100 flight cancellations at Hartsfield-Jackson Airport. Up to 6 inches in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, where snowy roads caused dozens of accidents. Live again now on I-77. Police say if you don't have to travel tonight, just stay put. They're asking to travel only in emergencies. They've responded to dozens of crashes. For the latest on this storm system and driving conditions, go to WBTV.com. More coming up. And now, so the state will be forced to dip into other budgets to make up the difference. And Eric Thomas is here now with the latest on your forecast. And you're already talking about the next storm in the line of storms that we've seen.
Yeah, and what's interesting is we're just now getting into the weekend, and we could be in the middle of this before we even get out of the weekend. This is how fast and furiously these things are coming. But again, let's sum up what's happening, Tanya. For anybody who tuned in a little bit late, we've got the storm totals for you. And the snow not completely over yet. But Tanya, I thought I'd reprise
this is so funny.
This one more time. This was a viewer photo that was sent in earlier today. We've got some new viewer photos coming in, so we're going to go ahead and get those into the system, and hopefully on WBTV News at 11 o'clock show you some of the updated area pictures. But for now, how do you like this? The church sign here in Boone. Amy Williams saw this, couldn't resist, took a picture of it. Who's ever been praying for snow, please stop. And that kind of, I think, dovetails pretty well with what Tanya was just reporting. All of these storms that have just been lining up and coming through, and for some reason it seems like that they've been coming through on Fridays as well. All right, so again, and every once in a while our counties don't come up for some reason here, so they've disappeared. But you can see the basic labels. There's still no advisories here for the extreme northern counties. And again, the I-40 corridor, these counties surrounding the Catawba Valley, they are remaining in a winter weather advisory. And then, of course, around the Piedmont, the winter storm warning for the counties along Cleveland, also Lincoln, Gaston, Mecklenburg, Cabarrus, and on down into Union, and then everybody in South Carolina under a winter storm warning. Now, the snow is winding down, but the damage has already been done. We've had anywhere from 2 to 4 inches across the Piedmont of North and South Carolina, less, as we've been saying, off to the north, and quite a bit more off to the south. I hope you didn't have any travel plans to head down to see your brother, your sister, your mom, and dad in Columbia, South Carolina tonight, because you would have thought you were driving right into a mountain snowstorm. They have had reports of around 6 inches of snow in the Columbia area. You can see, though, and again, this is our single-site Doppler radar. Now, this doesn't pick up the snow quite as well, but it still gives you an idea of the trend of what's happening. The real bulk of the snow, now that's all moving off to the east, and we're starting to see lighter snow. In fact, nothing's showing up on this, but I'll show you another radar that's more sensitive. What's interesting is we have this little band, though, that's still showing up. That, too, is beginning to shrink. But nonetheless, they had a little bit of an extra bonus over that way. The storm system is certainly not a small one, but as it rolled through the day, there you can see the bulk of it now moving offshore. We've got the backside right now, which of course is the cold air, and the snow, which has been piling up. Here again, now this is the more sensitive radar I was telling you about. The real heaviest snow now moving down to the east. We're starting to get some holes even in this radar around Charlotte and northeast through the Rowan County area. But there again, you can see that little bit of a band I was talking about. And I don't necessarily expect this band to come rolling back through the Charlotte area. That's sort of a local effect that they're seeing back here west of Hickory. But meanwhile, Here are the storm totals. 1 to 2 from about Hickory, Maiden, Newton, and Conover north. And then you get from about Hickory, Newton, Conover down through the Mecklenburg County area. Then you start getting into the 2-inch range, the 3-inch range, South Charlotte, 4-inch range, down into the upstate of South Carolina. And then, of course, we talked about what happened down around Florence, Darlington, Columbia, where some reports in the 5 to 6-inch range. Very impressive. Meanwhile, we've been at 30 for 6 straight hours here across the Charlotte area. Not moving at all, but obviously below freezing, so there could be problems on the roads, even colder as you get on up into the mountain counties. So again, the trailing edge of the system showing up around northeastern Georgia, extreme western sections of South Carolina. Here it is, and boy, unbelievable the way that the snow did manage to punch up through here. Picked up obviously an extra 1 to 2 inches than we thought we would, even here in Mecklenburg County. This at first glance looked like that this thing was going to stay further to the south, a 30-mile jog to the north, and all of a sudden we picked up that extra inch or two. So here it is, your Saturday map, just cold air. We'll start to see all of this wind down, and in fact by daybreak, probably not any snow at all falling at this point around Charlotte. Sun comes up at 7:12. We'll set at 6:04 in the evening. Rest of your 7-day weather alert forecast. All right, so may see a peak of sun late in the day on Saturday, Tanya, and could start Sunday off the same way. But clouds increase Sunday evening, and here we go, a front racing on in. Could actually throw a shower mixed with some snow right back across the region, including Charlotte, ending as mountain snow. And then after that, well, we'll see with this active pattern. But for now, we're going to forecast 4 straight days of rain or snow-free weather next week. We'll see if that plays out. But most importantly, very cold still around here.
Okay, tomorrow morning, how long will it take to warm up enough to begin to melt this stuff so that the roads